Manchester United update. Peter Schmeichel is bang on with brutal Man United transfer point, but there is a catch. Manchester United icon Peter Schmeichel has delivered his verdict on the club's decision to offload Rasmus Højlund this summer, explaining why the club were wrong to get rid. Peter Schmeichel has claimed that Manchester United made the wrong decision by signing Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig and in turn offloading Rasmus Højlund to Napoli during the summer transfer window. Sesko, 23, made the £66.26 million plus £7.36 in add-ons switch to Old Trafford in August. After a difficult start to life at United, the Slovenia international has found the net in each of his last 2 appearances. Meanwhile, Højlund, 22, joined Napoli on a season-long loan deal back in September. Antonio Conte's side have an obligation to buy the forward should they qualify for the Champions League. Since his move to Naples, Højlund has scored 4 times in his first 6 games, forming a dangerous partnership with Kevin De Bruyne in the process. Allowing Højlund to leave and bringing in Sesko, though, is a decision that doesn't make sense to Schmeichel, who has criticised United for making such a move and hit out at the club's creative players for Højlund's woes. The signing of Benjamin Sesko was a little bit weird to me because we have had Rasmus Højlund, who has been starved of service for 2 years, Schmeichel told BBC podcast Sacked in the Morning. You only have to see what he's doing at Napoli with Kevin De Bruyne and Scott McTominay to play with, he's scoring goals. I've consistently said this for 2.5 years, Rasmus Højlund will be a 25-goal-a-year striker for Manchester United, but he needs service. Schmeichel added that there were more pressing concerns at United that needed to be addressed first, such as sorting out their goalkeeper position and defensive midfield area. We let him Højlund go on the stats that he scored very little goals last season and bring Sesko in at the time we bring in Matthias Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, who would give Højlund first-class service. You have spent £70 plus on Sesko, when we don't have the no-6 we should have, and there's the goalkeeping position as well. This season alone we've conceded 9 goals from goalkeeping errors, he added. When I played, when Edwin van der Sar played, when David de Gea played, the brief was win 10 points a season, you don't give points away. Why did we bring someone in that we didn't need? Because the head of recruitment comes from RB Leipzig, also Sesko's former club, and he's got to make a mark. Me, Schmeichel is bang on in the fact that United had more pressing issues to sort out first, and should have signed a new goalkeeper and a central defensive midfielder before addressing the striker position. It's clear that United had to fix the goalkeeper department and sign a new elite no-one with Andre Onana struggling and Altay Bayindir failing to impress. Although the Reds managed to bring in Sen Lammens late in the transfer window, it would have been preferred if a more experienced campaigner was signed earlier in the summer months. The same applies for a new midfielder, though United didn't even manage to bring a new one in and have opted to stick with Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Manuel Ugarte and Kobbie Mainoo as their 4 options in that position. That is something that could prove to be a major mistake for United, who lack real strength and steel there. While I agree with Schmeichel in that sense, I do think that he is wrong in the opinion that United should have kept Højlund and not signed Sesko. At one point last season, Højlund went through a 21-game goal drought which lasted more than 22 hours. However you dress that up, it's nowhere near good enough for someone that is playing for United. Across his United career, Højlund scored just 26 times in 95 appearances. His Premier League return was particularly poor, hitting 14 goals in 62 outings, averaging almost 1 every 5 matches. Schmeichel has put the blame on United's creative players for Højlund's shortcomings in a Reds shirt, but I think the finger should be pointed at both parties, including the forward who at times looked lost. There is no surprise that Amorim decided to pick Joshua Zirkzee ahead of Højlund, before the former Bologna man suffered a season-ending hamstring injury. Zirkzee seemed to suit Amorim's system much better. Matthias Cunha and Brian Mbeumo may have helped Højlund to score more, but neither have the creative ability of De Bruyne, who has been able to conjure up several high-quality chances for the Dane at Napoli. Sometimes you need the striker to create opportunities for himself, and that is what Sesko has the potential to do, and more so, at least, than Højlund, who it felt like needed top-class service instead. I have no doubt that Højlund is going to score a hatful of goals for Napoli in Serie A, but sometimes the fit isn't right for the player, and that is what I think it was for him at United. Therefore, the right decision was made for him to be offloaded out loan, and the Reds brought in another centre forward in the shape of Sesko. Let's go in deep. Manchester United land back in familiar territory: debate, regret, and high-stakes decisions. Peter Schmeichel, the Red Devil legend, has delivered a scathing verdict on United's summer decisions, particularly the swap of Rasmus Højlund for Benjamin Sesko. According to him, the club made a mistake by offloading Højlund, who is now flourishing, and prioritizing a new striker while essential positions remain unresolved. Schmeichel's criticism is blunt and direct. He argues that United's attack lacked service, that the club moved too quickly to replace a young forward without first fixing more urgent needs, such as a top goalkeeper and a defensive midfield anchor. He points to Højlund's current form in Naples, where working with Kevin De Bruyne and McTominay, he is finding the net again, as evidence that the Dane was let go too soon, and perhaps unjustly. Such remarks force us to look deeper at United's summer strategy. If Schmeichel is correct, then this is not just about striking options, but about coherence in planning. Did United overvalue the idea of a new name over the continuity of potential? Did the recruitment department, perhaps influenced by prior connections, override logic? Was Højlund's 21-game drought enough to justify replacing him, despite his undeniable physical qualities and potential? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. Let us examine the broader picture. In a modern era where footballers travel the world and contracts shift like tides, managing transitions is delicate. A young striker can struggle under pressure, coaching changes, system mismatches, yet not be given enough time to breathe. United's decision to spend over £70 million on Sesko while leaving other structural gaps exposed seems, in hindsight, bold but risky. The goalkeeping errors, conceded goals, and midfield uncertainty that Schmeichel mentions are symptoms of imbalance. Bringing in a new forward alone could not patch that instability. But Schmeichel's stance is not without counterpoints. Højlund's record at United was mixed. His droughts were real, his end product inconsistent. Meanwhile, Sesko has shown early signs of adjustment and adaptability. He brings a different style, one that might better suit Amorim's evolving system. The question is whether United's leadership should have trusted Højlund's potential and built around him, rather than replacing him altogether. What should United have done first? The case for a world-class goalkeeper is strong. Onana's struggles and creative lapses by Bayindir have cost points. Schmeichel implies that before attacking additions, defending should have been secured. Similarly, a defensive midfielder, someone to break up opposition play and shield the backline, remains a missing piece. If United had addressed those needs first, perhaps the forward decision would have made more sense. For fans, this sparks tensions. Should they side with the legend's critique or trust the club's vision? Should United risk consistency for the promise of a new dynamic striker? And most pressingly, does Schmeichel's perspective reflect common sense or sentiment? In the end, football is about timing, trust, and adaptation. Højlund might have needed patience, Sesko might bring new energy. United's fate may rest not on who they chose, but how well they integrate that choice into a balanced structure. This summer's boldness may backfire, or it may signal a turned corner. Time and goals will tell. If you want those deeper tactical breakdowns, player comparisons, or visions of how United can fix these structural gaps, hit subscribe, like this video, and stay tuned, because the saga at Old Trafford is far from over.